All right, the NBA draft lottery is behind us. The actual draft is a little more than a month away. It's going to arrive on June 23rd. The Magic winning the number 1 pick. Thunder are going to take second. Rockets settled in at third. Kings have the fourth. We got some bets to discuss with these two gentlemen, DraftKings contributors Julian, Edlow, Collin, Sherwin. Jules, Jabari Smith Jr., the favorite to go first at -125. Is he your bet in that spot?
Yeah, that's the best prospect in this draft by a wide margin, in my opinion. And I think the only reason that that price hasn't completely reflected it yet, even though he's the odds-on favorite, is because of the allure and, what Chet Holmgren is supposed to be. He's good. He's like, Kristaps Porzingis type of prospect with, more point guard type of skills, which is very rare. But we haven't seen him put much of it together yet. And with Jabari Smith, who is the same age, a freshman coming out of Auburn, we've seen him put his game together as like an elite jump shooter, go-to scorer that has some flashes of Jason Tatum, Evan Mobley type of prospect in his game. So regardless of who won this pick, I thought it was going to be Smith unless something really weird happened. And now I feel more confident about that. So I bet Jabari Smith at even money prior to the lottery, and I've bet him at -125 since. That's the best prospect in this draft, and Orlando would be silly not to take him.
All right, Collin, do you agree there? Chat +150 to be the first overall pick. And we're hearing the word unicorn being thrown around a lot with this kid.
Yeah, I like Chet a lot. I went to the West Coast Conference Championship this year and got to see him in person. Couple glitches in his game, but you know what? He's just a kid. He's 19. I really like his ceiling. But I agree with Julian. Jabari Smith's probably the best guy to take, which is why Orlando won't take him, because they're going to take a reach and they're going to go with Holmgren. Now, look at the front office for the Orlando Magic. Jeff Weltman, who is not exactly young. His general manager is John Hammond. John Hammond is 67 years old. You can't teach size, right, guys? These are the old NBA. This is some old school NBA guys here making this pick. I think they're going to go with Holmgren. Unless they trade out of the pick, I think Holmgren's going to be the number 1 overall, even though I think it's the wrong decision. But as you know, Emerson, people who make decisions in Orlando, like choosing to go to college there or spending any amount of time there, like beyond what you absolutely must, it tends not to work out for people there. So I think Orlando's going to screw up this pick. They screwed up the Jonathan Eisen pick with the same staff. They're going to screw this one up too. They're going to blow it. And I think I think it's going to be Holmgren. So I'm going to put my money on Holmgren and assume they don't trade out of it.
I am proud to have cruised through the 5-year plan at UCF.
It was only 5.
Yeah,
I had the over.
It was only 5, and let me tell you what. Like Chet's under 200 pounds. College Emerson was pushing 260 at one point, but Chet's a freaking beanpole, Julian.
The guy's a rail. He needs to add some weight. For sure. There's no way around it. And he's going to gain weight and he's going to polish off a little. He has to, but his ceiling is super high. But so was Kristaps Porzingis, who we thought, could develop into this MVP, and look where he is now. I don't know. I think Orlando is screwed up so much that they can't keep screwing up quite as much, and they have Jonathan Isaac, who can kind of fill a Holmgren type of role. I think they need to go with more of a sure thing here, and Smith fits that wing. Like, they have Wagner and Isaac around him. They have the guards and Suggs and Anthony. Like, we'll see how that all comes together. I think they need to go with more of a sure thing here, which Smith is.
Okay.
And then we see, are we on to the second pick yet? OKC, do we want to go there?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, for sure. I was just having a conversation with you like friends do, like professionals do. But Go ahead. Yeah, Thunder, Rockets, 2-3, as we've mentioned. Tell us which players you think are going to round out the top 3 picks here. Like, the rest of the lottery bets aren't out just yet, but just give me your opinion here.
So OKC is always the wild card. They're going to do what they believe is right, just like they surprised everyone and took Josh Giddey at 6 last year, and it worked out for them. He had a really good year. He just missed out on – he was probably the odd man out in terms of making first-team all-rookie. So they won't be afraid to surprise you. Holmgren does fit the timeline here because they can take their time with him, and they're just looking to get as high as in the lottery as they can, with as many high lottery picks as they can, every year for the next like 5 years if they need to, unless they get good before then. So they're doing what Philly did. They just give us the best ping pong balls, and we'll take the highest rated prospect regardless of position. So if Holmgren falls to them at 2, I feel like that's really tough to pass on to just see what he would become. There's already some early articles and reports from good NBA draft writers saying that they like Paolo Banchero, who's a good player, but I just don't see. There's 2 guys with the higher ceilings, and it's Holmgren and Smith, and then a gap, and then Banchero. So I think OKC just has to take who's left over there, and then we'll see about Houston. It's probably then the 3rd one left over.
I mean, Collin, it's like top 3 guys. They're almost like locked in, right? It's just got to figure out an order for them.
Yeah, exactly. This is a 3-man draft, and by the way, it's not super deep behind those 3 anyway. It's not like there's like 10 guys that are all kind of the same. I think it's actually a pretty poor draft after that. And even with the 3 guys that are at the top, I'm not sure we're seeing perennial all-stars here. I like Banchero a little bit more than Julian does. I think what we saw him early in the year, particularly in that game against Gonzaga in Las Vegas, where Duke hadn't really figured out who they were yet. He was athletic, explosive. He could make the 3. He was really doing things on both ends of the court. And it seems like the Duke system, which is the Duke system under 4 years of Coach K, really took some of the flash and shine out of his game. He was sort of being asked to be like 1 of 5 instead of being somebody special. I think he's got that special athleticism in him. I think he could be a really, really good player in the league. So how you rank these guys 1 through 3, the thing with Smith, though, is he's 6'10" and he shoots 42% from 3. Like, that is really hard to pass on. So I still think Orlando makes a mistake and goes with Holmgren at 1. The analytically inclined, both teams, Rockets and Thunder, are pretty analytically inclined. I think they'll go Jabari 2 and Banchero 3, just because a 6'10" guy who can shoot the corner 3 and defend like Smith does. That is like the elite 3-and-D guy in the league. So I think that's kind of the model that they're looking for. So we'll see what they do. But yeah, it's 3. And then after that, you're really kind of rolling the dice a little bit here.
Okay, so not a super deep draft as you've mentioned, Collin, but how about a guy you could see potentially climbing draft boards and could surprise some of us come draft night? Maybe not crack the top 3, but move up a little bit.
I think Benedict Mathurin at Arizona really is. I went to that Pac-12 championship game as well, and I went to some of the Pac-12 tournament. He really stands out on court. Super athletic, some amazing highlight dunks on the season. Defensively, kind of drifts a little bit, but somebody's going to see the ceiling on this kid and try and give him a shot. Can shoot it a little bit. Actually shot better his first year in college than his second year from deep. As he played more minutes, that part of his game fell off a little bit. But again, this is what the NBA has become. It's become 5 guys who are all interchangeable, who can defend and switch and play 1 through 5. And that's what I think Mathurin can be. I think he fits that role. I think he could be an upper echelon player in the league. I'd have him 4, but we'll see what the league does. But he's my pick. I really like this kid, and I think he's sort of being somewhat undervalued at this point. I understand why, though, because quite frankly, defensively, there are times that his head just doesn't look like it's there.
Jules, who could surprise us come draft night on June 23rd?
Yeah, we're going to get to the top 10 in the next question. So
we're actually going to skip the last question. So
we're skipping it? All right, throw it all
tight on
together
time.
Because I do disagree with Collin in some ways. Like, there is a fall off, but I think there are some other good guys in the top 10. And for me personally, like, passing on Chet Holmgren to take a guy like Jaden Ivey is the type of thing that would get you fired.
Yes.
I think that I would say Jaden Ivey, for me, in 5 years, is going to be the second best player in this draft. I think he has the potential to be a Ja Morant. I think that he will be better than Chet Holmgren. That can make me look dumb. I wouldn't take him over Chet Holmgren because you have to explore that upside. I just think he's not going to get all the way there, and a guy like Jaden Ivey can be close to a Ja Morant. So if you get Jaden Ivey at 4, 5, 6, I think that's great. I agree with Collin with the shooting guard from Arizona. If Jabari Smith doesn't go 1, he's the steal of the top 10. But a guy at the back end that can jump up that I like, there's 2 Jalen Williamses in this class. Not the big from Arkansas, the wing from Santa Clara. He's projected in the 20s right now. I think he'll be a lottery pick within a month, and somebody's going to be pretty happy with him.